welcome back to Lovely Lovebird Designs. This tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these cute little dice on the Rainbow Loom. And they're flat on each side, and you can roll them and they will go flat. And they're pretty cute, and they're squishy, and I just love them. So they have 6 sides, and I used alpha bands for these, and you can also use regular bands. If you use regular bands, they have to actually be a little bit longer. So the alpha bands are 7 by 7, and I'll show you how that looks. That's 7 by 7, and then if you use 7 by 7 for the regular bands, they actually turn out like a rectangle, so it doesn't really come out the same way. But if you do 7 by 9, it comes out to be a square. So regular bands, 7 by 9, which I'm going to show you a graph for 7 by 9 also. And if you're using alpha bands, 7 by 7. So I'm going to I already pre-made a couple panels for their alpha bands. So I made 5 of them, and I'm going to show you in the middle of this tutorial how to make the first panel, and then it's up to you to follow these steps. You can freeze this frame and you can do the rest. Just the same, counting row by row. And then this is 7 by 9, the regular bands, and I'm going to show you really quick how to do that one. So this is the graph for the 7 by 9, the regular bands, and this is number 6. I repeated this pattern on here, and you just have to follow this. So you can freeze this one and then continue following these patterns for the regular dice. And then at the end of the tutorial, so I'm going to show you one time how to make one panel on the alpha, and if you're using this, just bring it one extra row on this side, one extra row on that side, and that's the 9. And I'm going to show you actually how to sew it together, because I place it in this pattern, and then we're going to use regular Rainbow Loom bands to actually sew the pieces together. So that is my dice, and this is how they look. And also one more thing, if you don't want to make dice, I actually had a tutorial for my butterfly mural bracelet, and I took it apart, and these are the regular Rainbow Loom bands, and I made a box, a cute little keepsake box, and I just sewed it the same way as I did with the dice, but I left the top open, and I added a bead closure to the front, and then just one single band here so I can close it. So it's a cute little keepsake box, and you can do the same thing with this pattern, and just sewing it, and just sew this together and close it. And it comes out really cute, and I really love how this came out. So it's all the panels of the butterfly, and it's a cute little box, and it store some jewelry in it or anything keepsakey. So I'm going to show you, now that's the first part of the tutorial that's done, and now I'm going to show you how to make one panel, but I'm going to use the Alpha Loom pattern. So it'll be 7 by 7, and if you're using regular bands, it's 7 by 9. Okay, and I'll show you really quickly how to put it on the regular Rainbow Loom too. So here's the Alpha Loom, and here is the regular Rainbow Loom, and it's a 2-pin bar setup, and you're just repeating exactly what I'm putting on the Alpha Loom, but on the Rainbow Loom. And if you're using regular Rainbow Loom bands, you're going to want to take a single, twist it upon itself, so it looks like this, and then the first band to lay down is a single twist like that. And then you make a little X, and that's what I did with these. And then you place your 7 down, and then you place your rubber band, your clear band, and then you place another band on top. So everything is a single, and then twist it like this, and then place it down. And it turns out to be a little bit bigger, and you can make a cute little keepsake box out of it, or the bigger panels for the dice. So either way, you can still do it, and you can use your hook to gently bring it over. Very easy. So let's get started, and I'm going to be using alpha bands and the alpha loom. Okay, and just as a reminder, the regular bands, you can freeze this frame, and it's 7 by 9. And then I'm going to be using the 7 by 7, which is the alpha. So we're going to make this dice with multicolored panels, and I already pre-made the 5, the 3, the 6, the 2, and the 4. So I'm just going to show you one panel, and it's up to you to make the rest. Okay, so I have my alpha loom. I am going to have this little circle part always facing forward, facing up, and I'm going to use white bands. So I'm going to take my single band, and I'm going to twist it like a figure 8 and place it on the loom. I'm going to use my cute little puffy paint charm as the guider for this. So we're going to work on the first row. And I also have a tutorial for this too, for any puffy paint charms. So I'll put a link for that on the bottom too. So we're just going to use all white. And they're all these single twist X's. Okay, now we're going to take our clear band and stretch it on all of them, and then we're going to the next, and that's going to be all white again. And we're just going regular this time, no X's. Okay, and then we're going to take our band and bring it in the middle, and we're going to loom, and we're going on the bottom. So we're just looming the bottom row. Okay, push it down, and then keep this up. And we'll place our clear band, big stretch, and we'll go to the next row. And that's going to be all white again. And you can make this in any colors you'd like. You don't have to have white dice. You can have multicolored dice. Each panel can be a different color, whatever you have. Okay, so that's all placed, and then we're going to take our band and bring it in the middle again, and then loom. Push down, get another clear band, and go to next. And this is where my little one is, and I'm going to use orange for that one. So once again, we're using white, and we're just following what the squares tell us what to do. Okay, the fourth one will be the orange, and then continue with the white. bring the clear band over, and then loop the bottom. Push down, and you need that clear band. And next row, all white. Okay, bring that clear band over. And loop. Push down. And this is always to the top. And we need clear again. Okay, next row, all white. Okay, and then clear band and loop. Push down, clear band again. And next row. Let's make sure that's the last row. All white again. Okay, bring this over. Loop again. And loop again. Okay, push down, and now make sure the little circle part's on the top, and we're going to take our hook and bring the right side over to the left. So we're just bringing it over. And remember, if you're using the regular bands, it's an extra row on the left and an extra row on the right. Okay, so now how we're going to make this little mural. It's going to look like this. So what you want to do is you take your hook, put it underneath the first set, and even with the regular bands you do this too. You take it off the little pin, bring it to like this part of the hook. Then we're going to put our finger right here to separate this band from this band. And we're going to take the second one off the hook, and it's going to look like this. Then we take this first one and we bring the hook underneath, so it's like a little knot. So we have the first one knotted. Then we bring this band to the right, grab this one off the pin, and do the same thing underneath, so it's knotted. And we're just repeating this motion. We'll bring it under. Just like that. keep on bringing it under, and then you have it off the loom. And the final one. Now you need a C-clip to hold it in place. Okay, so we need a C-clip. Let me grab a C-clip. And you want to clip the end band. Okay, and don't forget, stretch it out because it might not be, this looks more like a rectangle to me. So you want to stretch it so it's more like a square. And it gets the square shape. And the same thing goes with the regular bands. You want to stretch them out so it's a square. You can stretch out that part so it looks like that. Okay, so I made the first one, and I have all of the rest, the 6, and now I'm going to show you how to sew it together and make this really fun cube. Okay, so now we're going to complete the cube and sew everything together. We're going to be using regular white bands and your hook, and we're going to make little faces, and we're going to sew them together on the edges of the panels. And then when they're all sewed together, we're going to fold it, and it's going to actually fold into a cube. And then once that's folded, then we're going to sew it again until it closes off. And you can see each panel has a face to it, so when you roll the cube, when you roll it this way, it actually lands flat. So very carefully sew it carefully, because if you sew it too tight, it'll be a little bit more smoother. Like on this one, I sewed it like a little bit too tight on this green section, and it kind of caved in a little bit. But if you sew it normal, it'll make a nice little square. So, and that's the cube. And if you want to make it into the box, it's actually going to lay like this. So this part will be open, or this part will be open. And this part is actually going to be all together. Okay, so let's get started. And you will need some white bands. I'm just going to make a little pile right there. And we're going to first sew these two sections together. I figured out that this is like the best pattern of where to place these panels. And the C-clip is going to be on the upper right hand corner, and the pattern of this is going to be facing down. And you can see the fringe part of where we started with the X's. The X's are down here, and it's a little bit more looser. So I want to place the X part down here, X part down here, X part down here, and another X part down here. So they're all facing down. And then on the right side, you can see all the C-clips are on the upper right hand side. And on this right side, the C-clip is going to be facing down, and the little X part fringe is going to be connected to the 6. And on this side, the C-clip is on the left, and the little X part fringe is going to be connected to the 6 on this side. So I think that's like the best layout to sew it together and make it a little bit easier. And we can get started. So I'm going to first start with these two panels, and then I'm going to just actually sew everything down. So here's my little fringe, and here's my top part. So I want to sew these two together. And I'm going to take this C-clip, and I'm going to place my hook right through this band that's holding the C-clip is actually holding the band together. Take the C-clip off. We don't need that anymore. Take our band, bring it through, and make a slip knot. Okay, and that is our thread. So we have it on the right side, and I'm going to sew each, it's going to be 7 rows, and you're going to sew it together. So here's my little fringe, and I'm going to grab the 2 bands, well it's really 1 band, but I'm going to grab the fringe, then I'm going to grab the sewing part and pull it through. Okay, so you can see that. I'm going to take it slow. Then we're going to line it up, and here's my next row. And I'm just going to grab the top part. You can grab like one side or both bands. Bring it through the second part, the second row. We're just lining up the rows, putting our hook through, taking this band, and then we're going to pull it through. Okay, so we sewed 2 of them together. Go to the next. Here's my 3rd row. And then go to the 3rd row of the other panel. Grab our little string and bring it through. Go to the next. Okay, so I have that connected. Bring our string through. Takes a lot of patience for this one. Go to next. Bring it through, and if you're using the regular bands and you feel like you don't have enough slack on it, because with the Alpha Loom bands I can use 1 regular band and sew it through to the side, but you might need a little bit more on the other, and you just make it, you connect another band here via the slip knot, and then you can keep on going through it too. Okay, so we're on our second to last. Bringing it through, and finally the last. Okay, so now I'm going to take another band, and just like I said before, bring it through, make a slip knot, and I have more thread. So we just sewed 1 panel together. And you're going to see it's flat on this side, because I want it flat on this side, and then there's going to be like a little raised edge on this side, and that's when we're going to fold it, and it's going to be more flat on this side, like the cube. So if that makes sense. When we finish everything, it'll make more sense. So I have this done, and now I want to connect it to this one, and then I'll work it down. So once again, I'm going to go through, well, this one's already like on pretty even. So I'm going to bring this little fringe end and bring my little thread through it. So I have that connected. And I just want to line it up. It doesn't really have to be exact, just as long as it's lined up and you can sew it. So I'm just going to grab the top band part, not the whole thing. Like, I'm not going to grab the two bands going through, I'm just going to grab this top section, just that band. If you want to grab both bands, it'll make it like less like a panel and more like one piece. And I want to make like a little panel effect, so there's like some edges on it. But with the little fringe part, you have to go through both because it's a little loose. Okay, so that's our second. Bring it through. Okay. Just going to make pull it a little bit. And go to next. Okay, with the second to last section. And one more. I'm going to connect, now it's like two little fringe parts here. So it's a lot of like repetition, a lot of sewing, but in the end it's really cool. Okay, so I have that connected, and I'm going to do another slip knot. So it looks like it looks just like that. So now I'm going to connect these two panels. And once again, I want to just grab like the top part. I'm going to go to the edge. And then bring it in there, under to connect. And continue sewing it, each section. I'm going to want to grab that connecting band. I'm going to grab this one. Okay, so I have my next section, and I'm going to bring that little sewing through. And I want want it to be even. So they are rubber bands, so they do stretch too. Okay, next section. Then the next. Take your time so it can be even. Okay, so now we come to a clip, and you want to place your hook right through it again. And we're going to bring the band, the little sewing band through, so it cuts it off. Bring it through that one. And then you want it through this one too. Okay. So now you need another band to make it longer. Okay, so let's see where we are now. So we sewed this together, and now I'm at this part. So I want to sew this one to this one. So this is like the little fringe part again. I'm going to bring that thread right through, and we're sewing this together. So just make sure it's even, and just, sew it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm only grabbing, again, the top layer, not the bottom. I'm not going through all of them. But with this little fringe part, I am going through all of them. Okay, we're making some progress. Okay, so now we're at the edge. It's the last one. and one more band. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. Looking good. And now I want to sew this together. So I'm going to keep my little band here loose. If you want to add a C-clip to it so it doesn't get lost, you can do that too. I'm just going to keep it like this, dang, that's not going to go anywhere. And then I want to sew this together now, and then we're going to put it all together. So, once again, we have that C-clip, and we want to place our hook right through it. Take the clip off, get a band, and pull. Okay, I'm going to sew this together now. Another little fringe part. On the second row. And keep on measuring it. Make sure that it stays straight too. Okay, we're halfway done. Mine's a little tight here, so I'm going to stretch it a little bit. And then we're at the end. Okay, so we have that sewed, and I'm going to grab another band. And slip knot. Okay, so we're going to place this down, and it looks like this. So you have a little cross here. So now you can actually fold it together, and it will become like a box. And then you're going to fold it like that, and like that, and we're going to sew everything together again. So it looks like this. So once again, we're going to sew this together, and then we're going to sew the bottom. And if you're making the box, you don't have to sew one of the tops. So you can figure out which one you want as top. Sew that together, and then sew this. And then you have your box. And you can add your little button or clasp, and you can close it off. So and that's how I made the box. So let's get this together and play some dice. Okay, so I have my little box like this, and I have one section of string here and one section here. And what I want to do now is I'm going to fold this together and sew this section together. So you can do that, you can actually sew it whatever you want, but I'm going to sew it this way and make like a little box like that, and then you can have your cover if you're making the other box. So I'm going to sew this up, sew this panel, sew this panel, sew this panel, then I'm going to close it off and sew the inside, the top part. So once again, and I want like squares on the outside. So you can see the inside is like flat. So I'm going to keep this flat look and just sew the top part, this little edge here, not the bottom, if you can see that. So I'm going to go through the little top band. Same here. And then we're going to connect the pieces. Okay, so it's one part, and it's going to be looking like that. Okay, we have that one. It's coming together now. Okay, we're toward the top. Okay. So now I want to grab the top part. And here's another C-clip. I'm going to put the hook through. Take the clip off. And then take that excess band and bring it through. Okay, and then grab another band. Okay, so here is our first corner, and you can see sewing it just like the edges, it does make like an edgy look to it, but if you don't like the edgy look, you can actually just keep it this way too. So you can sew it this way or this way. At the end of the tutorial, you can flip it inside out or right side in and see which side, like which cube you like better, and you can just close it off and use it that way. But I like the little panel faces better. So I got one corner, and what I want to do is I want to make another one right here. So I'll close that off. So I can put another band, and I'm just going to connect the corner down here. Okay, make a slip knot, and then do the same thing that we did before. Trying to make it like a flat and just sewing it shut. Always connecting it. Okay, so it's taking shape. And then finally, the top corner. Just going to connect this together. So one more, and then bring this through this C-clip. Just going to bring it through so I don't lose it. Grab another band. Pull, and now I can take this C-clip off. Okay, so we have this part done. Stretch it out, make sure it's straight. So they do bend. And now I'm going to sew this side shut. And then I'm going to sew this side shut. Well, actually, I can sew this actually down because I already have a band right here. Now I think I'll just sew it like I was before. So I'll just grab the bottom, grab another band, make a little slip knot, and then sew this. And you can actually, I'm going to invert this so I can sew this a little bit more neater. So once again, so I put it inside out. So instead of like sewing it like this, which this is in the way, I'm going to go like this and then sew it like flat like that. It's a little bit easier to sew, and you can see it better too. almost done. Just grab this one. Okay, so I already have a band over here, so I can just grab it and that will tie off the smaller band. See that? And it shuts. Okay, so we're almost done. And I like this panel, the more straight edges better. So I flipped it up again, and now I have to sew this part. I'm going to invert it again so it's a little bit easier to sew. And I'm just grabbing the bottom corner. And making a slip knot. And sewing this together. Okay, we're coming to the top. And I'm going to go to that stitch. Then here's another clip, go through it, then grab my thread and go through those. And grab another band. Okay, so now if you want to make a box, this is your box. But remember, it's inverted, so I'm going to go flip it over, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to just sew the top together, and if you're making a box, you can grab these and make knots and tie them off, and then you're done. And with this one, I am going, oh, and I also have to take this C-clip off. Nice and beautiful. So I'm going to invert it again and sew the top part all the way around, and then once I get to this part I'm going to flip it back over. So I already have a thread on each side, and I'm going to just sew that top part together. You know what, and make sure, and then I want to make it flat too, because if this is the inverted side. make sure it's all connected. Okay, so here's my corner, and there's my corner with another band. Okay, one more. Okay, so now I have another band right here waiting for me. I'm going to bring it through. Okay, it's taken shape. Now it's like a little mouth. Okay, so I want to grab these bands. And this is, okay, sorry about that. So we're still sewing this together. And it's going to be like looking flat. Because this is the inverted section. So I just want to make sure it's all coming together. Repetition, but it's like really cool outcome. Okay, we're almost at the edge. Almost done. Awesome. So now we're going to grab this one and pull it through and connected that. Okay, so this is actually the inverted section and it looks really cool. I like this part too. You can stretch it out. And if you like your cube like this, you can keep it like this. But if you take this part and now go inside out, and it looks a little bit different. Like there's more like side panels on this side. So whatever part, and you can put your finger inside and stretch it out so it's more flat and so it looks nicer. And it takes the shape of a cube. So whatever part you like, the inside out part or this part, you can sew it shut. I like it like this because I can see like little edges. I think that looks pretty cool. But if you don't like that, put it back inside out. and see if you like this part. You know, fix it up and see what you like when you fold it. Okay? So I like the other side, so I'm going to sew mine shut the other way. Okay, so you can actually, if you want to stuff this with more rubber bands, it can bounce more, because it bounces too. It's really cool. So we're going to just sew this shut, and then we have a nice dice. So I'm going to pull this out, and now it's not really tricky, it's just sewing it. I have one end over here, and then I have one end over here. So I'm a righty, so I'm going to sew from the right hand side. And once again, I want to see panels because I'm using the panel side. So I want to make it like a panel, like an edge, a straight edge. So now I'm sewing on the regular side. So I'm going to sew the inside edges here and not the outside like we were doing before because it was inverted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab just like the little inside edge, bring this band through, and that's going to sew the inside. Go to the next section. Okay, so I'm going to sew that. So I'm just keeping air inside of here because it looks really cool like that. But if you want to put bands in it, you can do that too, whatever you want. Just going to grab that inside stitch. Okay, so now I'm coming to the end. We're going to close it off soon. Okay, so I had another bit missing. She's missing in action. So I'm going to go find her. She's hidden the other, remember the other side? So I'm going to find the other thread. Okay, got it. I'm going to keep this one out, and I'm still sewing this shut. Okay, so really at the end now. Just want to connect this corner. And got it. So now what I can do here is I can just make a simple knot to tie it all together. So I'm going to make like a triple knot. Just to really secure it. that's okay if it breaks too. So, but I tied my knot. Now I'm going to go inside with my hook, any section, go through again, and I want to hide that little knot inside the little cube. So I'm just going to pull it through, and it's hidden. So now the knot's in the middle. So, and now you have a cube, and what you want to do is stretch it out. Make sure it's the shape of the cube that you want. Push little parts in if they're poking out, because it's all sewn, it's all hand sewn, so every cube is going to look different depending on how you sewed it. Stretch out parts if one side is bigger than the other, because it does move around, you know, and different shape, because we're inverting it, reverting it, but this is your cube. I think it came out really cute, and it comes out flat when you roll the dice. Oh, there he goes. And you can make different colors, or just one color. You can do different panels with different colors, and you can even make a cute little box. So this is Lovely Lovebird Designs. Thank you so much for sticking through this tutorial. It's a really long tutorial. I really hope you liked it. And please subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.